Okay, it's coming up. And you let me know. I feel like you see it before I do.
This
So
meeting is being live streamed, it says.
excellent. We are here. Fantastic.
And then we have to figure
Welcome.
out if we can see ourselves.
I know. I'm like, where do I go to see
People can
us?
see us. Hi everyone.
Hi, everyone. We are so happy to be with you. I know we are a little later than we said, so we're just glad that you are all here. Let me get the live link. Okay, I think I have everything right. Okay, there we go. So we are here. Britt is back for another month of talking about astrology. I know we have some questions that some of you have submitted. So I think we'll have plenty to talk about for July. How are you doing, Britt?
hmm
Welcome.
I am doing okay. I'm happy with Jupiter and Leo, and also I feel pretty burned out with the Saturn in Aries station. I feel like I've
Yes.
been talking to many people that have had the same experience. Like, we've had all this Aries activity early in the year and then Neptune there, and now Saturn is slowing down, and I feel like people are crashing. It's like,
I do too.
oh,
I think the Saturn station is very real. I was thinking about this the other day. So let's just get on the board. Saturn is going to station retrograde at 14 Aries at the end of the month, around the 26th or 27th, depending on where people are. I was thinking about this on my walk this morning. I'm like, oh my God, Saturn has gone halfway through the sign of Aries
I know,
in the blink of an eye. Like, no
I
wonder
know.
it feels like the first half of this year has flown by. Saturn has
Yeah.
just like pressure tested and pushed everything, not just in Aries, in the first half of Aries, but every planet or placement that is in the first half of a cardinal sign has
Oh
had,
yeah.
square, opposition, or conjunction from that transiting Saturn. So, I do feel you on that sense of like people crashing or like when the adrenaline wears off, this is a very Aries
Yeah.
thing. And then it's like, oh God, now it's the come down after the busyness.
Yeah.
The other planetary astro thing that I think is contributing to that, which I know I've been keeping an eye on myself, I think this Mercury retrograde is just so quiet and
hmm
contemplative. It is so deep in the feeling, so deep in the body, so like attuned to nostalgia and memory and the like that the way when we look back to the past and we remember like the glossy, like, oh, I loved this or I loved that, we always forget the stuff we didn't like about,
hmm
5 years ago or 10 years ago. And we just think, oh, well, this was the parts that I loved. I think this Mercury and Neptune, Mercury, our retro in Cancer, it has it's a big part of that slowing down. I think like the
Yeah.
intellectual energy is just like I can't go forward right now. I'm so stuck in the past or I'm deep in my body and my emotions. I think that's contributing as well to that sense of like I just
Mm.
have to crash out on the couch or in the backyard or in a park or something for a while.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking of Mercury in Cancer as like the nervous system because of course Mercury ruling the nervous system and then Cancer ruling the
Yes.
body. It's like what does it feel like to have a regulated nervous system or an overstimulated nervous system and you get like these wonky experiences. I've been having a lot of chats with friends about attachment styles
Oh,
and
that's
like
such a great piece of theory to work with.
what it means to
Yes.
be securely attached and how to get less anxiously attached. I mean, for the people that are recovering in that area.
Yes. Yeah, I'm on the other side, avoidant attach.
Yay. Um, so it's like having these conversations with people, like how can I show up more securely for you? What does it mean to be safe? I actually had a conversation today talking about like what does it actually feel like to feel safe? How can I process this? I was like verbally processing this with a friend, and it's like, huh, this feels very Mercury retrograde in Cancer.
Yes. Yeah. What does that's such a good point, Britt. Like, what does safety actually feel like?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're right. I think everybody says we want to feel safe, we want to feel secure, but what sensation goes with that, in the
hmm
body? What's happening in your chest or in your belly? What's happening in your nervous system? And most of us, because we don't have a sense of that secure attachment, we don't know.
Yeah.
We're just flying blind. Mm. I always share, so I've done a little bit of work on the attachment theory, and I have a mix of attachment styles, probably like most people. Most people have a
hmm
couple kind of in the
Yeah.
mix. And my husband has some different ones that I do, which is very common. But I have had some experiences of secure attachment, and there's this story that I always tell from years ago when Peter and I were going on a holiday. And I had talked to my aunt months ago and I'd given her our flight details, and she had said to me, I'll pick you up at the airport. I'm like, great. I did not think about it again. And as we got closer to this, Peter kept saying to me, and I've told this story publicly before, so I know it's okay to share. He kept saying to me, are you sure she's going to be there to pick us up? Like, do you need to
Mhm.
touch base with her and check in? And I was like, no, she said she'll be there. She'll be there. And this was like one of those real learning moments for me about what a little bit of security or safety actually is like in a
Yeah.
relationship setting. Because his sense of sort of almost panic or anxiousness got it increased as the time got closer
Hmm.
without that kind of reassurance. Whereas for me, I hadn't given it another thought, and I literally could have got off the plane on the day and I knew that my aunt would be there to pick us up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not really describing a sensation in the body, but it's in some ways a little bit of security is an absence of a wide variety of sensations. It's an
Yeah.
absence of the anxiousness. It's an absence of the worry. And it's like, what does calm feel like? Sometimes it doesn't have its own sensation. It's the
Hmm.
nothingness that goes when you're not agitated.
Yeah, yeah, especially for people that are so used to being agitated. It's like, what is this strange sensation? Like, what
Yes.
is this what a calm nervous system feels like? But yeah,
Like,
in
what
general,
even is this?
yeah, it's like really this sense of like, I know that polyvagal theory has been debated and it's kind of like, I don't want to go too much into that. Also, I'm not an expert on that, but there's
Fair.
something when you get into like ventral vagal, what we
Yes.
consider this safe, secure, connected kind of state of being. It's like, I'm really enjoying myself. I'm having a good
Yeah.
time. This is great.
Yeah. It is. It's just sort of ease, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
it's very neutral in the sense that you're
Hmm.
not up and you're not down. So I love what we're doing here because we're trying to put into words the thing that Mercury and Cancer might be seeking, which
Yeah.
is like some sort of calm mind that we have, like that regulated feeling in the body. Because Mercury in the
Hmm.
sign of Cancer, ruled by the moon, it is like Mercury in the body almost, because the
Yeah.
moon is a planet of the body basically.
Yep, totally. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like influencing a lot, of course, Mercury retrograde in Cancer, because we have, as of 2 hours, I think, we have Venus in Virgo, she's
Yes.
gonna stay there for a while, and of course we have Mars in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. So
Yes.
Mercury is like doing a lot of work for us, and Mercury's just chilling.
Totally. I think that this is, a really big point, Britt, that two of the personal planets, Venus and Mars, plus Uranus, are all taking their cues from that Mercury in Cancer. So, yeah, Venus into Virgo basically July 9th for the rest of the month. We're going to have Mars in Gemini all month and both of them into early August. And the whole time they're there, Mercury will be in Cancer. So that quietens them down. It quietens down Mars in Gemini.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
creates a really felt, kind of slower, more internal experience to Venus in Virgo, for
Hmm.
instance.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Mercury is kind of quietly pulling the strings behind the scenes right
Hmm.
now. And Mercury in Cancer is so in that kind of reminiscing, it's to your point about like the body and nervous system and somatic pieces. I feel like Mercury in Cancer this month is like, here's how we can locate in the body memories of things that have happened already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like here's this
Totally.
if this is where you feel it, in your system or viscerally. I don't
Mm.
know. And I'm like, what should people do with Mercury and Cancer? I'm like, well, slow down. Maybe don't talk to as many people. I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of writing and reviewing and editing on a writing project. And I think I'm like, oh, this is so perfect for Mercury in a water sign where it's just really quiet and less
Hmm.
verbal. So I think
Hmm.
writing and reflecting and contemplating is beautiful. But what do you think for Mercury in Cancer, Brett?
Well, this reminds me of something that's on my to-do list. That's great, is to sort through my phone and go through like old pictures of my son and like the past
Yes.
years and like create space on my phone, which is a very Mercury thing too. Like it's too full,
Yes.
too many data there.
Yes.
But also just like going through these memories and sorting through like what do I want to keep? What was just like a quick snapshot that's actually, not worth keeping.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's also then that Venus in Virgo discernment around like, okay, where, what is
Yeah.
actually a nice memory that I want to
That you want to
protect. And
keep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good point because if we're thinking, we're recording this on the 9th of July. Um, I'm like, oh my God, I think in my mind I thought it was Wednesday, but it is Thursday.
It's Thursday, yes.
Talk about
Mercury
Mercury
retrograde,
retrograde.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we also messed up the time for this almost, so
I know that's true. We're like, there's lots of Mercury. Mercury retro is real.
yeah.
I love that Venus, like, I know Venus in Virgo is technically the full placement of Venus,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean I don't love her as a placement. I think she has a
Mm-hmm.
lot to offer.
Mm.
You mentioned discernment. One thing I always find I just can't stop myself doing when Venus is in Virgo, it's that like organizing, simplifying, decluttering, like that discernment of like sifting.
Yeah.
I always think about with Virgo, like the wheat, sorting the wheat from the chaff, and like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
want to keep and what is waste or excess? And I think
Yeah.
we get a more refined, elegant, and specific take on what do we want to keep and what is excess with Venus in Virgo.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't know about you.
I mean, I have feelings about Venus and Virgo, but I mean, I've thought about this and like I thought about the shift from Venus in Leo to Venus in Virgo. And
Yeah,
I think one thing that they really connect on is devotion as a theme.
beautiful.
I
Yeah.
feel like the difference is where Venus in Leo is like, please devote to me. I'm special.
Yes.
I'm worthy of devotion. Venus in Virgo is the one that's good at devoting to and not so good at
Yes.
receiving. And I was
Yes.
thinking also of like 12 years ago, I traveled in Japan for a while and I witnessed this really elaborate gift giving ritual that they do, where it's
Yeah.
like they present a gift to each other and they say very humbly, like, this gift is not worthy of you. It's just a small thing. It can never express how grateful I am to you. And then you take turns doing that. I just had to think of like Venus in Virgo. That's like so Venus in fall, like I'm not worthy of you kind of experience. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and it's like it's really, really interesting to think about Venus in Virgo as this placement that is in its fall, it's underground, it's like looking
Yeah.
up to something else. Like I want to
Yes.
devote to you, and I don't know if
Yes.
I can ever earn your love and trust, but I'm just gonna keep
Yes.
trying, right? And that's also the Venus in Virgo experience where I feel
Yeah.
like a planet in fall has some technical difficulties and usually has a bit of a life cycle that needs to, if you have this placement latterly, you have to work through some Venus issues, but you can
Yes.
get really good at them.
Yes.
Once you get like, I do feel like Venus and Virgo people can really master the craft of relating once they get a bit older and they just really become like relational polyglots. Like I speak
Yes.
all the love languages kind of situation
Yeah,
because
I
I'm
don't
just
need one.
gonna
I can work with all of
excel at
them.
them.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe not so good at
Yes.
receiving all of that, but that's a side piece. Yeah.
I love what you're saying here, Britt. The idea that Venus in Leo is more devote to me, whereas Venus in Virgo is I will devote to you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
with Venus in Virgo, what it wants to devote to, sometimes it's a person or a partnership, but sometimes it's also a craft or a
Yep.
skill or a technical ability. I often think of the tennis player Roger Federer when I think about planets
Mm.
in fall or
Oh
detriment
yeah. Yeah.
because Federer is a Virgo rising with Venus in
Mm-hmm.
the first house. And I think
Yep.
that's a great example of somebody choosing to devote themselves to a particular skill or craft. And I always
Yeah.
think one way of a planet in fall, particularly Venus in fall, is like I have this love of something that's a bit niche or a bit different or is not necessarily what everyone else loves, but I love it so much that I will be devoted to it. And
Absolutely.
he's a great example of someone who, can then turn that devotion into an out of the ordinary skill.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
turning that devotion into an art. Really like refining your skill and
Yes.
just becoming better,
Yes.
like this devotion to becoming a better person or
Yeah.
a better artist or a better lover, all these things are
Yes.
ways that Venus in Virgo can express. I think it's
Yeah.
really important for, for this transit and for people with Venus in Virgo to also remember, like, when is it enough? When have you done enough? And
Yes.
can you focus on something that's going right instead of like, no, this
Yes.
needs to be tweaked and needs to be better.
Yeah, the constant editing or refining, I think,
Yeah.
is when Venus in Virgo does get a little bit exhausted. I'm
Yeah.
really curious, when we do these timing types of, forecast episodes, I know we have Venus in Virgo every year, but we get a slightly different iteration of Venus in Virgo each year, depending on a couple of things, depending on if there are any other slower moving planets in Virgo with Venus,
Hmm.
or depending on what Mercury, the ruler of Venus in Virgo, is doing. And so
Yep.
this year is like the Mercury retro in Cancer version of Venus in Virgo. And I really hope that helps Venus in Virgo get a little bit of that softness or that tenderness, like
Mm,
that nurturing energy of Cancer. Like you said, for Venus in Virgo to be like, that might be enough. We could
yeah.
overdo it, but we don't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also
Yeah.
thinking of the fact that Neptune's not in Pisces anymore. And I think Venus opposite Neptune
Yeah.
also has this really like selfless, like, I will give endlessly to
Yes.
you. I
Yes.
think it really helps
Yeah.
that that's not there. And then the Mercury retro in Cancer, like maybe
Totally.
it's enough. Maybe my body deserves some rest after just slaving away for everyone I love.
Yeah, just to be like the punishing regime of Saturn.
Hmm.
This is
Mm.
making me want to checky check. Yeah, because last year when we had Venus in Virgo, it was late September, first half of October, we still had Saturn in Pisces as well.
Yep.
So as Venus was going through Virgo last year, she was opposing Saturn and Neptune. This year, she doesn't have that. She's got the South Node. I mean, she had the South Node last year and she
Yep.
has the South Node
Yep.
this year. Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, so
Yeah,
Venus in
and
Virgo,
Venus
cooling
in
and
Virgo
quietening things down. Yeah.
comes in
What
with a
else?
bang too because Regulus is
Yes.
there right now. So it's like
Yes.
it's a nice entrance. Like it's not that bad this year.
Totally, totally. I love that. Yeah. So you were saying as soon as Venus comes into Virgo, it's with Regulus, one of the
Yep.
most potent and powerful fixed stars.
Yep.
Yeah. So good. I feel like we could talk about Venus in Virgo all day.
Always
Is there
Venus.
any other like particular highlight from July that you want to mention at this point?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, there's a lot of outer planet activity that I think we should, quickly
Yes.
mention because like
Yes.
all the outer planets are aspecting each other, and then Jupiter swoops in and aspects them too. So I feel like there's a lot about, this pivotal stage we're at with like world politics and everything that's changing in terms of,
Yes.
wars, climate change, etc., etc. Name a problem, and it's like there's dissatisfaction about it. And I really do feel like Jupiter swooping in can maybe create some hope for change and positivity. So all of that's happening in mid to late July, I believe. Like
Yeah.
18, 19, 20 July, I've noted here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right around that period. I mean, there are a lot of aspects between, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto that are kind of firing off this month. I did want to say this isn't going to be the only month where some of those outer
Mm-hmm.
planet aspects are
Mm-hmm.
firing off. Over the next 12 months, there are a couple of other
Yep.
pockets where those outer planets come back into the tight alignments that they're in this July. So it's certainly by no means a one and done. I think June of 2027 is another month where we have a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
outer planet aspects kind of firing off. So, just for people to have that, I'm looking at my data sheet over here. Yeah, June of 27, there's a lot going on. But to your point, Britt, like for July of 26, where we are right now, we have Jupiter in the mix with the
Yep.
outer planets. And I do love what you're saying here because I think Jupiter is sort of, Jupiter in a fire sign is very uplifting,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily in the sense that it makes us all feel good, because that's not necessarily like everyone's shared experience, but it raises energy. So it can
Yeah.
motivate the spirit. It can kind of
Mm.
galvanize your drive to help you like push for change or like strive to make improvements, whether that's personally, collectively, socially. And I do think that period of time, like July 18, 19, 20, 21, as Jupiter kind of rolls through, it's going to try Neptune, oppose Pluto, sextile Uranus. It does feel like the opportunity to create a new vision and to come together
Yeah.
with other like-minded people to pursue the thing that you have decided is something you want to prioritize. So that idea of uplifting and like inspiring action or
Mm.
drive or progress or momentum, I think is part of what I get from that. How are you thinking about those pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like Jupiter and Leo is really like playing quite a big role this month anyway. So I do feel that there's a lot about, this is a new ingress, right? We had like 29 or 30 June, I think that we switched from Jupiter and Cancer to Jupiter and Leo.
Yes.
And as is fitting for like a Jupiter and Leo, it's already playing like the leading role in many aspects this month with
Yes.
like its role in these activating these outer planet aspects. But then I'm also looking at the cazimi that's happening later this month and the full moon. It's like Jupiter in Leo comes in big. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm just taking up a lot of space as I should,
Yes.
right? It's like
Totally.
let's get together and let's celebrate ourselves and I'm excited about that. It's like coming in with a bang in a way.
Totally. I think that is very fair. Jupiter is totally coming in with a bang. I mean, yes, you've called out one of the dates that I think is arguably super important in the context of July for a mix of reasons. Like, I think we could see there's some potential, maybe challenges or
Mm,
complicated energy that comes out of this date. And there's also some potentially like golden possibilities that are seeded, and that is like July 29, 30, which is the Jupiter cazimi, the sun in Leo. It's also the full moon in Aquarius, which kind of pulls out the Jupiter opposite Pluto aspect, which to
yeah.
my money, I think is sort of the story of the times. It's the most
Mm,
uh, dynamic aspect that we have forming between our biggest planets. Like, I know there's
yeah.
a lot of sextiles and trines, which are
Yeah.
worth keeping an eye on, but we know that squares and oppositions and conjunctions have more potency, have a little more power, a
Mm,
little more impact. And so Jupiter opposite Pluto, which is kind of running for the last 10 days of July, and then gets lit up by the full moon basically within a couple of
yep.
degrees on July
Yeah.
29, 30. That to me is into light. We do have that sense of like the recalibration around power, around wealth, around
Mm,
integrity, about even like uh, justice in there as well. Like the sort of going back and forward between those pieces, I think is huge. And you were sorry, I just got so excited about that, Britt. I'm like, yes, and all these things. You mentioned the Jupiter cazimi. Is there something you want to share about that?
well, it's really interesting that it's happening at the full moon, which is
Yeah.
it's like within 5 minutes, I think, when the full moon is
Yes.
active. So it's like even
Yes.
within the most tight definition of what a cazimi is, it's well in there. So it really is this powerful reset moment for Jupiter. I mean, Jupiter is invisible currently, right? I think
Yes.
just set, and it will be invisible for the rest of the month until that cazimi moment. Like it's still invisible then, but it's kind of like gathering momentum and in the heart of the sun to get new instructions for like, hey, what do we want to do this Jupiter and Leo cycle? And that happening around a full moon, that's also, the moon is quite tightly conjunct Pluto. So there's like a
Yes.
lot happening there in terms of, hidden things coming to the surface, but then also really this, I love the keyword of integrity for this Jupiter Pluto opposition too, with like, how do we want to grow and lead with integrity as this like Jupiter
Yes.
cazimi moment. Like how what does it take to believe in myself and
Mm,
to move through the world in an authentic way and not be afraid to take up too much space, but also not take up so much space that I overshadow other people because there you really have that Leo Aquarius dynamic that's
yes.
activated.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's so many beautiful things in what you're sharing. I do think that Jupiter and Leo is an encouragement towards expressing authenticity, like bring the
Hmm.
light within forward and take up space. Don't, Jupiter and Leo to me, there's a lot of self belief, a lot of self trust, and there's a level of self confidence. Like, why can't I have that opportunity? Or why
Mm,
wouldn't I deserve that success if that's what it happens to be? Or why wouldn't I deserve to choose a path that is meaningful for me, kind of thing.
mm,
I think that's definitely part of it. And so that idea with the Jupiter cazimis, that Jupiter's really tightly conjunct the sun, that's happening at 6 Leo on the 29th. That is the seed of that. It's sort of like what Jupiter being in the heart of the sun, it's like Jupiter has gone to the temple of the sun as receiving wisdom or guidance or instruction for the next 12 months. And because Jupiter is cazimi the sun in the sun's domicile, the sun's home sign of
hmm.
Leo, the quality of wisdom that the sun is imparting is the highest available. It is like
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
most divine, the most kind of aligned vision. And so I think there's complexity in that full moon as you're talking about because the
Hmm.
cazimi is basically happening in an opposition to Pluto. But I
Hmm.
do think there is an opportunity to grab like a kernel of a vision or just sort of this inkling of a thread of something that you're going to
Mm.
follow through that will be like a guiding piece. So yeah, Jupiter and Leo take up space, but also daring or having the conviction, the inner conviction to kind of pursue what lights you up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had to think
Yeah.
of these lines of Walt Whitman, who's actually a
Beautiful.
moon in Leo, but the Song of Myself, I celebrate
Yes.
myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. And I think that is a
Oh,
really, really nice piece that also speaks to that, again, as I said, that Leo Aquarius
yeah.
dynamic, where it's like,
Yes.
I matter, but I don't want to forget about everyone else who's like
Yes.
not in the spotlight, but everyone deserves this piece of humanity, if you will, that I think is really
Yes.
part of like Aquarius energy, and then also Pluto in Aquarius, like the masses rising up to power kind of
Yes.
idea.
I think that so there's the moon, the full moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, which to me is very much like the collective masses come together to resist, suppression or control or to push back on um domineering or dominating forces. And also I love what you're saying about like Jupiter and Leo with Pluto and Aquarius around yes, we want to take up our own light and space as individuals, but perhaps in such a way that we're creating opportunities for others to step forward
Yes.
rather than, like you said, you don't want one person to kind of pull all the focus to the
Hmm.
detriment of the many. And so there's something there about leading with heart, but also being motivated or driven to help drive through things that will make improvements for many people.
Yes, empowering also
Yeah.
other people with that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
empowering or encouraging or
Yeah.
uplifting or saying you take the spotlight or you take the microphone, you come and tell us, whatever it is you want to share or whatever it is you need to bring forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this brings us actually to a question that somebody submitted when I posted about our catch up today. The question is from All the Good Breaks, I think. And they say, can you talk briefly about when Jupiter is combust the sun in Leo since the sun is in domicile? Does this dampen Jupiter's beneficence? So I was curious if you have any
Mm,
thoughts about like how because you had mentioned this, I think it's good to flesh out for people. Jupiter is technically combust the sun and hidden from view for a big chunk of July and I think the first half of August or something. And
mm.
so even though it's in this sign that is really compatible with Jupiter, it's working in this kind of behind the scenes, maybe secretive way. So yeah, I wonder what your thoughts were on that, Britt.
Yeah, I mean it's not ideal, of course, for a planet to be combust the sun, and there is that moment of invisibility that doesn't help with Jupiter. I do think there's something also about combustion where it's like people are often afraid of that, or it gets a bad
Mm,
rap. It's like, oh, it's invisible, so it's not there. But there's so much unseen that's happening, and so much, um, I think, like hidden wisdom that feels really
yes.
appropriate for a combust Jupiter in Leo. That is about, mm, what do I need to kind of listen to that's not physically present and
Yes.
just like attuned to, that can be like a guiding light as I'm trying to grow into the person that I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really beautiful and useful about that that not everyone remembers or appreciates. And you always have such a beautiful piece about combust planets that people find very inspiring. And I think that in and of itself is like Jupiter combust the sun in Leo.
Totally, totally. And someone's just dropped in the chat like spiritual inner work. And I do
Mm,
think that is exactly right. I do have a bunch of planets that are technically combust and hidden in my chart. And I've worked with many clients over the years who develop these really specific skills that are an expression of this idea of working in the mystery or working in a
yeah.
hidden or out of sight way. And I think you made a great point, Britt, which is this idea that in modern kind of culture and society and life, we often think darkness or not being seen is a bad thing or we
Hmm.
immediately think it's problematic. And of course, technically, ancient astrologers were like, well, we prefer to see things than not see things. Fair enough. But when things are not seen, it doesn't mean they're inactive. They are
Hmm.
simply active, but in a different setting or oriented towards a different set of interests that aren't about accumulation or visibility or maybe worldly achievement and success in the way the dominant culture might kind of define it. And so I think just doing a quick look at the ephemeris, it looks like Jupiter is invisible, kind of hidden. If I use the 15-degree marker from about now, like sort of July 8, 9, 10, until I think the middle of August. Uh,
Yeah. I think I wrote it down in my calendar. Uh,
yeah, maybe the 18th-ish of
yeah, 19th I
August,
have,
18th,
18th,
19th.
19th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
reading it off the ephemeris. So
Yeah.
basically, you're looking for the distance from the sun to Jupiter to be more than 15 degrees,
Yeah.
and that will have Jupiter, outside the commonly accepted definition of
Hmm.
invisibility. And so that means that in this like middle of the summer in the northern hemisphere or winter in the southern hemisphere, like from mid-July to mid-August loosely, be in your inner space, like whether it's
Yeah.
meditative work or visualization work, do a lot of that dreaming, planning,
Hmm.
attuning to the wisdom within so that you're not like you're almost tuning out the external messages or pressures and you're
Yes.
trying to
Yes.
say, what is the purposeful path or goal that is something I really want to go after, not what
Mm.
is everyone else telling me I should be achieving or what have you. Like, define your own measures of success or satisfaction. I
Yes.
think that's
Yes.
so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it reminds me, like, sometimes I think of Jupiter and Leo as like fake it till you make it energy. Like I'm just
Yes.
gonna show up and like
Yes.
it's gonna work out
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
I think what's important about that is like, but what are you trying to make? Like what are you trying to achieve? What are you dreaming
Mm-hmm.
of? What are you envisioning?
Yes.
Do you have that clear? Because
Yeah.
then, you can use that cazimi moment too of like, okay, now I'm gonna go out and get it. But what do I actually believe in? And that takes
Yes.
a lot of inner work, right? And I think that's what
A
this
lot of inner
combust Jupiter
work.
can be
Yeah.
used for.
And if we think about it symbolically, the understanding of a planet kind of going into this combustion process, it is a period of purification for the
Yeah.
planet. Symbolically, it's like the planet is going into the fires of the sun to be
Mm.
reborn. And, if any of you kind of listening are like, oh, yeah, a whale who has all its barnacles on it. Sometimes
Mm.
I think modern life, we get a lot of stuff stuck to us that maybe we didn't want or we don't really love. And so this purification piece, I don't know how we end up in the ocean, but maybe whales are a Jupiter
Yeah,
thing. I'm
whales,
not
yeah. I
sure.
was like, yeah.
Whales, Jupiter, we'll go with that. So the idea with the purification, like what do you need to burn off? Where is the
Mm.
congestion? Where is the lack of clarity? Like get quiet
Yeah.
and then rebirth or renew. And the other
Mm,
piece about combustion that's really important is that there is a level of exhaustion that can be associated with a planet that's
yeah.
combust. And so I think for a number of reasons, like even the Mercury in Cancer piece we were talking about earlier, make sure you get enough rest over the
Yeah.
next, 4 to 5 weeks. It's the time of year where there's a lot of pressure to be doing a lot of things, but
Hmm.
like it's okay to be guided by Mercury in Cancer or Jupiter hidden to just say, I'm doing things internally right now. So it looks like
Mm,
nothing because I'm just sitting here, but there's a lot that's shifting deep inside me. And that
yeah.
may be enough for the reset. And you'll see this, like you'll see the fruits of the rest as you head into September,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that reminder of burning off some of those layers that you don't need anymore.
Yes.
Because it's
Yeah.
also like, how do you know what is authentic to you? Well, when you're doing something that's inauthentic and you catch yourself in that and you're like, huh, that's not actually me.
Yeah.
So not doing that kind of stuff makes you more authentic, like defining the boundaries for yourself too, and then
Yes.
burning off those layers where you're actually, masking or performing a version of yourself that is not truly you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was thinking this takes us all the way back to where we're talking about like secure attachment and somatic awareness with Mercury and Cancer. One of the clues that you may be involved in something that's really inauthentic for you is how agitated or aggravated you are either during or after doing that thing. So, to your point, if you just, even if you're not sure what you want to do or what vision you want to work towards, you start by burning off the things that you know are
Yeah.
sources of increasing aggravation and agitation. So that at the very least, you can create that quietness from which a more authentic kind of intention or interest can emerge. But we
Mm,
sometimes forget we have to get quiet first to get to
yeah.
that place.
Yeah. Yeah. And rest
Yeah.
and reflect to come back to Mercury in Cancer, like, again, to that, that conversation I had today, like, huh, what do I actually need to feel safe? Let's sit
Yes.
with that for a moment,
Yeah.
and reflect on that, because it's really important to have those moments of reflection. And I think, that's where the quiet time comes in. That's where like the invisibility comes in. Like you cannot
Yes.
reflect when you're out in a busy marketplace and you're like you have all this chatter. Like no, maybe just enjoy your quiet time at home and write in your journal and sort through your phone and
Yeah.
think
Take
about
a
the
walk in the
memories.
woods or something.
And
I
that's when
think you've
yeah.
also hit on something there, Britt, is like what does it take to feel safe or what would actually inspire me to be involved with? These are really like big conceptual questions or points of reflection that you can't come up with an answer for in 5 minutes. Like a quick
Mm-hmm.
scroll online is not going to answer questions like this
Mm-hmm.
because what you want is a deep felt response in your body and it
Yeah.
will take the time that we're talking about. And I think if I reflect on all the themes we've talked about so far today, Britt, and I know we're probably coming up close to the end of our time. There's been such a rich discussion.
Mhm.
Uh, it feels like, from now until maybe mid-August, which coincidentally is also around the time Mercury will finally leave Cancer.
Yep.
I think it's maybe like, let's not rush. Let's chill out where we can.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
sift through, use that beautiful Venus in Virgo to, you know, trash whatever needs to go and then not rush to fill the emptiness that or the empty space that we create. Just kind of be with it and see what comes. Like observational and experiencing rather than like rushing and doing.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful summary, and I love that as a reminder.
It's
That's so
so
great.
beautiful. So good. I know we have a bunch of other questions. I will probably come back and do just a separate podcast that we can have them in because I don't want to waste Brit's time. And I know we've had some beautiful discussion today. Before we go, I need to let you all know that my special member only subscription service has a sale right now, 15% off the annual subscription rate. So if you love this type of timing with astrology, if you want more insights on a weekly basis, come and check out my membership. There is actually a free sneak peek of the weekly video for next week that I will drop a link for in the chat. You can check that out. If you like it and you want more, you can sign up and save. And if you just think, I just want to go to your website now and check it out, go to kellysastrology.com where all that info is. Britt, where can people find out more about you and your astrology? Because I imagine you've created lots of seeds of interest for people today who would want to go further with you in their own charts.
Yeah, you can find me at somaticastrology.co. I do astrology work, chart work, I do coaching, I do mentoring as well, and it's all somatic astrology. So a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about today, like astrology through the body, with the body, all of that good stuff, you can find me there. And I also have a
Beautiful.
Substack, that's planetarybeing.substack.com.
Perfect. And we will drop the links below for both of Britt's places where you can find her online. Thank you again so much, Britt, for joining me. I look
Thank
forward to
you.
catching up with you in August, just as we're coming out of some of the themes that we've been talking about today. So we wish you all a wonderful month. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks again, Britt, and we'll
Thank
catch
you.
you all next time.